Welcome to Part 2, How Semen Retention Turns a Broke, Middle-Class Man into a Financial Weapon. Momentum changed. How he saw risk before retention, fear, controlled decisions. Now, clarity evaluated them. He no longer avoided challenges. He calculated them. Pressure felt like information, not threat. When a man holds his energy, steady uncertainty, stops feeling dangerous, and starts feeling like leverage, waiting to be applied. Financial growth followed discipline naturally, not through sudden windfalls but through consistency. He saved more, invested, smarter, negotiated, harder. He stopped impulse buying comfort and started buying assets. Every dollar finally had direction because the man controlling it had direction. He realized most financial advice fails because it ignores the internal state of the man applying it. Strategy collapses without discipline. Discipline collapses without energy. Retention solved the root problem, first making every external system finally work as intended. Late nights, once wasted on screens, turned into focused sessions. Learning, building, planning the mind stopped craving stimulation and started craving progress. Boredom transformed into hunger, and hunger became execution. This shift alone separated him from the majority. Still, numbing themselves nightly, his relationships changed, too, not because he chased less, but because he needed less desperation. Disappeared attachment. Softened presence strengthened people. Respond differently to men who are not internally begging for relief. Confidence born from control cannot be faked, and it cannot be ignored. Work ethic intensified without burnout because energy was no longer fragmented. Effort felt clean, direct, purposeful. He could push longer without resentment because the work aligned with identity retention. Made sacrifice feel meaningful, not punishing. He noticed something unsettling. Comfort had been the enemy. Disguised as reward, every relapse into old habits immediately dulled his edge, reminding him the cost was real and immediate. Discipline stopped being optional once the contrast was experienced. The middle-class ceiling that once felt immovable now looked artificial, built by habits, not fate by leakage, not lack by distraction, not oppression. This realization was empowering and terrifying because responsibility returned fully to him. He stopped blaming systems and started mastering himself. External conditions mattered less, internal control mattered. More retention gave him the bandwidth to take ownership without collapsing under guilt. Ownership became fuel instead of burden. Money became calmer, less emotional, fewer spikes, fewer crashes. Wealth started compounding quietly because decisions were no longer reactive. Patience replaced urgency. Urgency had always been the voice of emptiness. Patience became the voice of strength. He understood why most men quit self-improvement. They seek motivation, not identity shifts. Retention forced an identity shift or nothing at all. Once identity changed, habits followed effortlessly. This was the missing piece behind every failed attempt at discipline. The businessman became a builder, not just of income, but of systems, routines, boundaries, mornings, structured evenings, protected weekends, intentional, everything served the mission. Energy. It was no longer spent randomly, it was deployed strategically. People began to call him lucky, overnight success. Unaware of the years of internal war required to stabilize the man behind the results, luck is what discipline looks like to the undisciplined. He saw younger men repeating his old patterns, chasing pleasure, numbing anxiety, leaking duct or dive. He wanted to warn them, but new advice without examples sounds like noise, so he lived visibly disciplined. Letting results speak louder than explanations. Retention sharpened his intuition. Decisions felt cleaner, faster, less debated. Overthinking faded because mental clutter dissolved. A calm, decisive state replaced internal chaos. This clarity accelerated everything: business strategy, leadership, conflict resolution, all improved simultaneously. The deeper lesson emerged: success is alignment between biology, psychology, and behavior. Ignore biology, and discipline fails. Ignore psychology, and habits collapse. Retention aligned all three, restoring the natural masculine feedback loop. He began to see discipline as self-respect, not restriction. Every resisted urge strengthened trust with himself, and self-trust is the foundation of confidence. No affirmation can replace it. No motivation can substitute it. Financial goals expanded because capacity expanded. Vision grows. When stamina grows, most men limit dreams because they lack energy to pursue them. Retention expanded his energetic ceiling, making bigger goals feel achievable, not overwhelming. He stopped consuming motivational content excessively because he no longer needed constant hype. Discipline created intrinsic drive. Silence replaced noise. Execution replaced inspiration. Retention matured in past dependency on external validation. Stress transformed from enemy to signal. Pressure indicated growth zones instead of danger zones because his nervous system was no longer overstimulated. He could sit inside difficulty and extract value from it instead of escaping. This calm under pressure became his competitive edge. While others panicked, he planned. While others rushed, he waited. While others reacted, he positioned patience, compounded returns, both financially and strategically. The irony became clear. Pleasure delayed created deeper satisfaction. Pleasure chased created emptiness. Retention did not remove joy, it refined it, making achievements feel earned, stable, and fulfilling instead of fleeting. He understood masculinity was not aggression, but containment power. Controlled, directed, patient, uncontrolled force destroys itself. Retention taught containment, which unlocked sustainable strength. The middle-class trap was never income, it was impulse. Without impulse, control income leaks upward. Discipline keeps value anchored, and growing retention was the anchor modern life tries to remove. As his income grew, so did his responsibility. Leadership required consistency. Others depended on his stability. Retention supported this load because his internal state no longer fluctuated wildly with cravings and moods. Legacy entered his thinking, not fame, but impact, sustainability, contribution. Retention create a long-horizon thinking, making him invest in things that outlast immediate gratification, businesses, skills, relationships, built to endure. He saw clearly, now society does not need more motivated men, it needs more disciplined men who can delay gratification and hold tension without breaking retention trains. Exactly that capacity, daily, privately, relentlessly. The journey was never about semen alone, it was about sovereignty over impulse. Semen. Retention was the gateway, discipline was the path, purpose was the destination. Confuse these and nothing changes. Align them, and everything accelerates. Relapses taught humility, not shame. Each slip revealed the cost, reinforcing commitment. Discipline deepened through honesty, not perfection. The goal was mastery, not purity, control, not repression. He stopped arguing with critics because debate drains energy, action compounds it. The proof lived in his calendar, bank account, posture, and peace. Critics remained busy explaining why discipline was unnecessary, while he remained busy building. The transformation was irreversible because awareness cannot be unlearned. Once a man feels the difference between leaking power and conserving it, he cannot pretend ignorance again. Comfort loses its illusion forever. The businessman no longer feared hard days because hard days built him, soft days weakened him. Retention trained him to prefer growth over ease, making resilience his default state. He realized the world rewards men who can stay consistent longer than others. Talent spikes, burnout, discipline plateaus. Compound retention feeds discipline, therefore retention feeds wealth, indirectly but powerfully. The final truth settled quietly: success is not about becoming superhuman, it is about removing self-sabotage. Retention removes the largest silent form of it, restoring natural masculine drive, clarity, and endurance. His life now moved forward with weight, intention, and direction. Not perfect but aligned, not easy but meaningful, not loud but effective. This was the reward. Discipline promises, but only delivers to those willing to endure the beginning. The story returns to where it began. A middle-class man staring at a ceiling, but now the ceiling is temporary, not permanent. Anxiety replaced by anticipation, energy preserved, not drained. Potential, no longer theoretical, but scheduled. This is a lesson hidden in plain sight. Discipline is not punishment, it is permission to become dangerous. To mediocrity, retention is not denial, it is investment. The man who understands this stops surviving and starts building. Those who ignore it will scroll, release, complain, and repeat. Those who apply it will rise quietly, steadily. Inevitably, not because they are better, but because they stop leaking what makes them powerful. If this video gave you real value, tap the thanks button. Your support helps me keep creating deeper content like this. Every thanks is a spark that keeps this mission alive. Your support means more than you know. The choice remains unchanged: comfort now or power later, distraction now or legacy later, leakage now or compounding later. Discipline decides everything, and discipline begins with control over desire. This is how semen retention unlocks a man's financial potential, not magically, but mechanically, through energy, clarity, endurance, and identity. Transformation: ignore it and remain average. Apply it and separate permanently. The path is demanding, the rewards are disproportionate, and the cost of ignoring it is invisible. Until it is irreversible, choose wisely, because time does not negotiate, and energy once wasted does not return. The man who masters himself masters outcomes. The man who controls desire controls direction, and the man who controls direction eventually controls his financial destiny without noise, without shortcuts, without apology.